Get out of the wedding. You have nothing to be proud of. That's what my mother screamed at me and my girlfriend right in the middle of my sister's wedding over a year ago. Even though I had dropped $23,000 to cover the entire cost of that day, she still kicked us out. All because I exposed their lies about who paid for everything and revealed that my sister's baby wasn't even her fiance's. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Alright, so I guess I should start this whole cluster shit from the beginning. I, 32 male, used to think I was hot shit with my startup ideas. Unfortunately, I wasn't. Like, not even close. About 3 years ago, I went all in on this cybersecurity app I thought would revolutionize how companies handled their data protection. It's gonna be the next big thing, I told everyone who would listen. Just wait and see. I dumped my entire savings into it. We're talking nearly $90,000 that I'd been squirreling away since my first job out of college. Maxed out 3 credit cards. Took out a personal loan. The whole thing. I even convinced my roommate at the time to invest his bonus from work. Dude, you'll double it in 6 months minimum, I promised. Yeah, about that. The app tanked. Like epic failure. Not just a small setback or a learning experience like those motivational LinkedIn posts try to spin. We're talking complete, total meltdown. The kind where you're sitting in an empty office that you can no longer afford, staring at your laptop as the electricity gets shut off because you forgot to pay that bill too. You may wonder how I ended up here. Well, turns out our revolutionary security algorithm had a major flaw that basically made it useless for any company with more than 50 employees. By the time we patched it, 3 bigger companies had launched similar products that actually worked. Game over. I had to move back in with my parents. At 30 freaking years old, with nothing but debt and a failed startup to my name. Rock bottom doesn't begin to describe it. You know what's worse than failing? Having your family mock you for it. Every single day. Why can't you be more like your cousin Ty? He's got a stable government job, a nice house in the suburbs, and a retirement plan. My dad would talk this shit right in front of me, like I wasn't even there. Just loudly announce it at dinner, making sure everyone could hear. Mom would just nod along with this smug look on her face. Your father's right, Axe. Ty never took unnecessary risks. He played it smart. Then she'd sigh dramatically. If only you'd listened when we told you tech startups are basically gambling. My sister Ren would just sit there awkwardly, poking at her food, not saying anything to defend me. She was 27 then, working as an administrative assistant at some insurance company. Never rocked the boat, never stood up to our parents. Just existed in that perfect middle space of being neither successful enough to get praised, nor unsuccessful enough to get picked apart. Uncle Stu was probably the worst when he'd come over. So how's that fancy tech thing going? Oh wait, it's not! Ha 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 ha. Real comedic genius, that one. He'd slap my back too hard and call me Mr. Silicon Valley, even though we were in Ohio. And Aunt May would always follow up with, you know, there's no shame in regular work. Not everyone's cut out for business. Thanks for that wisdom, Aunt May. Really helpful. The extended family was no better. Grandma Ruth would call just to tell me about some news story she saw about another failed tech company, and wonder aloud if it was run by someone like you. Cousin Mia, who worked as a nurse, would text me job listings for hospital janitors. They have benefits, she'd write, like I should be grateful for her looking out for me. At family gatherings, it was like I had a neon sign above my head, flashing failure in bright red letters. Everyone suddenly became a business expert. The problem with your generation is you want success overnight, my uncle would lecture, conveniently forgetting that he inherited his plumbing business from my grandfather and had never started anything from scratch in his life. After about 2 months of this daily humiliation parade, I packed my shit and left. Didn't tell anyone where I was going. Just disappeared. Went completely no contact for over 2 years. Not a single text, call, email, nothing. Radio silence. Thought I should focus on myself away from all these inputs. I blocked all their numbers, deleted my social media accounts, and created new ones under a slightly different name. I moved 3 cities over, far enough that I wouldn't accidentally run into anyone I knew, but close enough that I didn't have to get a new driver's license. During those 2 years, I rebuilt my life from scratch. No safety net, no family help, no sympathy calls. Just me grinding it out. I started small with this new business in custom software solutions. Way more practical than my previous bullshit dream. Actually solved real problems for real businesses, instead of chasing some unicorn idea. I worked 16-hour days, lived in a crappy studio apartment where the shower would randomly switch from freezing to scalding, and ate ramen and canned tuna for months. My office was a corner desk at the public library until I could afford to rent an actual workspace. Somewhere in that first year, I met a girl. I'll call her Jo. Not at a bar or a club or anything like that, at the library where I was working. She's a librarian, not into designer crap, just this genuinely kind person who saw something in me when I had literally nothing to offer. She'd come by with coffee sometimes when I looked like I was about to faceplant onto my keyboard. We started talking during her breaks. She'd ask about what I was working on, and unlike my family, she actually listened. Didn't judge or compare me to anyone else, just listened. Our first date was a walk in the park, because I couldn't afford to take her anywhere. I was straight up with her about my situation from day one. I'm basically starting over from nothing, I told her. I've got more debt than assets, and I work all the time. She just shrugged and said, "Sounds like you're someone who doesn't give up." I like that. But so she stuck around through the worst of it. Never complained about my tiny apartment or when I couldn't afford to take her anywhere nice. When I'd get discouraged after losing a potential client, she'd bring over these homemade cookies and remind me that successful people are just failures who didn't stop. Fast forward to now, my business finally took off. Turns out there's a real market for custom software solutions that actually work and don't cost a fortune. I built up a solid client base, hired a team of developers, and expanded our services. I'm pulling in mid-six figures now, bought a decent house in a good neighborhood, and I'm still with Jo. Life was actually pretty damn good, until my family suddenly decided I existed again. Funny how that works, isn't it? 2 years of Axe Who, and suddenly I'm their favorite son again. Amazing what a little success can do. I was in my office one Tuesday afternoon, finalizing a contract with a new client, our biggest one yet, when my phone lit up with my dad's number. Hadn't seen that on my screen in over 2 years. My first thought, someone died. I stared at it for 3 rings, debating whether to answer. Part of me wanted to let it go to voicemail, but another part, the part that still remembered being part of a family, made me pick up. "Hello?" I answered, heart racing a bit. "Axe, it's your father." Like I wouldn't recognize his voice after 32 years. "We need to talk. It's about Ren." My mind immediately went to worst-case scenarios. Car accident? Cancer diagnosis? Something terrible. What happened? "Is she okay?" I asked, already reaching for my keys, ready to drive to the hospital if needed. "She's pregnant," he said, like he was announcing she had a terminal illness. "And she needs to get married right away. The boy's family is very traditional." I sat back in my chair, relief washing over me. Not dying, just knocked up. Classic family drama, not life or death. "Okay, and why are you calling me about this?" I asked, already knowing the answer but wanting to make him say it. There was a pause, then, "The wedding needs to happen within a month, and, well, you know your mother and I have been struggling since I hurt my back at work last year. That means they needed money." Of course they did. Why else would they break 2 years of silence? "We know you're busy with whatever it is you're doing these days," my dad continued, "but you should step up as a man. This is your chance to show you're still part of the family." Step up as a man? After 2 years of silence, that's what he leads with? And what the hell did he mean by whatever it is you're doing these days? Like my business was some hobby I was tinkering with in the garage. "I have my own company now," I said flatly. "A successful one?" "Yes, your mother saw something on the internet about that," he replied dismissively. "Look, this isn't about you. It's about your sister. She needs her family now." I almost laughed. Now she needs family. Where was this family solidarity when they were all taking turns dunking on me? "And the guy?" I asked. "What's his story?" "Zeb. He's a freelance graphic designer. Very talented, very creative. Has so much potential. Red flag number 1. In my family's language, has potential means currently accomplishes nothing, but we're pretending he's just about to make it big. So he can't afford a wedding," I said. It wasn't a question. "He's building his client base," my dad said defensively. "These things take time. You should understand that, given your history." Ouch. Nice little dig there, reminding me of my failure while simultaneously asking for my money. Classic dad move. He went on to explain that they needed at least $23,000 for the wedding. Venue, catering, dress, everything. And they needed it, like yesterday. I told him I'd think about it and hung up. Then I sat there for a good hour, staring at the wall, trying to process what had just happened. Cousin Ty called me the next day. "Hey man, heard you're talking to the family again about Ren's wedding. That's big of you considering, you know, everything." Then he laughed like we were sharing some inside joke. Dad was just saying how you might finally be ready to make amends. Better late than never, right? So they were framing this as Me making amends to them. Like I was the one who needed forgiveness. Typical. Aunt Pam texted, "So good to hear you're back in touch with the family. We've all been so worried about you." Yeah, so worried they never once tried to find me. I didn't trust them for a second, but Ren never actually did anything wrong to me. She just kind of stood by while everyone else was being assholes. Plus, she was pregnant. So against my better judgment, I agreed to fund the wedding. But I set some hardcore boundaries. I'll pay for everything directly. No cash handouts. I'll sign the contracts with the venues, caterers, everything. My name on all the paperwork. They didn't like it. But what choice did they have? So I spent the next few weeks signing checks, booking venues, paying deposits. About $23,000 all in. Not pocket change, but I could afford it now. Part of me thought maybe this was a chance to mend some bridges, show them I wasn't the loser they thought I was. Yeah, turns out I'm still kind of an idiot sometimes. But hey, at least I'm a rich idiot now, right? And that's when I started to see my family more often. I met with Ren once during all this planning. She seemed different. Not just the pregnancy, but something else I couldn't quite put my finger on. More nervous than excited about the wedding. You happy with this guy? I asked her over coffee. This Zeb person? She nodded quickly. Too quickly. He's great. Really creative. Everyone loves him. That's not what I asked, I said gently. Are you happy with him? She stirred her decaf latte. No caffeine because of the baby. And avoided my eyes. He's a good guy. It's the right thing to do. Not exactly a ringing endorsement of eternal love, but I didn't push it. I was just the checkbook after all. Ren did ask about Joe, though, which surprised me. Is she coming to the wedding? I'd like to meet her. I haven't received an invitation yet, I pointed out, which was a bit weird. Ren looked genuinely confused. But you're paying for everything. Of course you're invited. That should have been my first clue that not everyone in the family was on the same page about this whole situation. A week before the wedding, my cousin Mia called me out of the blue. We used to be close as kids before the whole family turned on me. Dude, I heard you're coming to Ren's wedding. That's awesome, man. It's been forever. We caught up for a few minutes, and it was almost like old times. She told me about her nursing job, her new apartment, the guy she was seeing. I told her about my business, the house, Joe, normal cousin stuff. Then she dropped this bomb. Wow, it's so cool Ren's fiance is footing the whole bill. That guy really stepped up. I nearly spit out my coffee. Wait, what? Who told you that? Your mom mentioned it when she called to invite us. Said something about how you offered to chip in a little because you felt guilty for abandoning the family. But Zeb is handling most of it. She said you weren't a real man for the past few years, but at least you're trying to fix things. I hung up and immediately called another cousin, then an aunt. Same fucking story everywhere. My mom had been spreading this narrative that I was just this washed-up brother, trying to buy his way back into the family's good graces, while Zeb was taking all the credit for my money. And get this, everyone believed it. Despite the fact that Zeb can barely pay his own rent. He's this freelance graphic designer who's never had a stable client in his life. But sure, he's totally dropping $23,000 on a wedding. Makes perfect sense. I called the wedding planner, who confirmed what I already knew. Every invoice was in my name, every payment came from my account. Zeb hadn't contributed a single penny. Not even for the ring, which was apparently his mother's old one, resized for Ren. My uncle actually texted me. Glad to see you contributing something. Your sister found herself a real provider, unlike some people who chase pipe dreams. The irony of sending that text from a phone I'm paying for apparently escaped him. Then came the group photos drama. My mom texted that they'd scheduled family photos for the day before the wedding. Just immediate family, she wrote. 4 p.m. at the venue. I responded asking if Joe and I should wear anything specific. 20 minutes later. Oh, honey, I think there's been a misunderstanding. These are just for blood family. We'll do some with friends at the reception. Blood family. As if Joe wasn't going to be my wife someday. As if she hadn't been by my side when none of my blood family gave a damn. My blood was boiling. All that work, all that growth, all that money. And they were still finding ways to disrespect me. I wasn't a person to them, just a wallet with legs. A freaking ATM with a pulse. I immediately regretted paying, but I already did. I called my mother directly, which I never do. When she answered, her voice was this fake sweet tone that made my skin crawl. Axe, darling. Is something wrong with the flowers? I told Ren we should go with the roses, but why are you telling everyone that Zeb is paying for the wedding? I cut her off. There was this pause, and then, Oh, honey, does it really matter who gets the credit? The important thing is that Ren has her special day. It matters to me, I said. I'm the one paying for everything. Well, technically, yes, but Zeb is the groom, and he's going to be the provider for Ren and the baby. It's just simpler this way. People have certain expectations. Expectations that I'm a loser who can't afford to help his sister? I pressed. Another pause. Axe, maybe it's best you don't come to the wedding at all. We just don't want certain things brought up. People talk, you know. And after being absent so long, it might be better if only close family attends. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I hung up and immediately called Ren. Surely she'd set things straight. I heard what happened with Mom, she said quietly. Look, Zeb's family is really traditional. They'd be embarrassed if they knew he couldn't pay for the wedding himself. It's a pride thing. So my pride doesn't matter? I asked. I get why they're worried, she continued, ignoring my questions. It's not personal, Axe. Just don't make this about you. Don't make this about me? I'm dropping 23 grand on her shotgun wedding, and I'm making it about me? Does Zeb even know I'm paying? I asked. Her silence was answer enough. Jesus Christ, Ren. This is so messed up. Please don't ruin this for me, she said, her voice small. Please, Axe. I need this wedding to happen. There was something in her tone that caught me off guard. Not just pleading, but desperate. Like there was more at stake than just a ceremony. Is everything okay with you and Zeb? I asked. Everything's fine, she said too quickly. Everything's perfect. But it didn't sound perfect. It sounded rehearsed. That same day, one of my cousins sent me this gem. Hey, so psyched to see you back in the fold. Your dad was just telling us how your little business experiment is going okay, but nothing compared to what Zeb's building. Guess we can't all be natural entrepreneurs, right? Some of us need more practice. Yeah, Zeb the freaking natural entrepreneur who can't afford his own wedding. Brilliant. 2 years of completely ignoring my existence. And now they were not only taking my money, but actively diminishing my success while pumping up this jobless wonder they barely knew. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion, horrifying but somehow impossible to look away from. Speaking of Zeb, I finally met him at the rehearsal dinner, which I also paid for, by the way. He was this lanky guy with a man bun and those stretched earlobe things. Looked like every creative type stereotype rolled into one person. He gave me this limp handshake and said, "So you're the infamous Axe. Heard a lot about you, man." I bet he had. Likewise, I replied. How's the graphic design business? He launched into this long explanation about his artistic vision and how he was too authentic for corporate clients, aka unemployable. The whole time, he had his arm around Ren like he was marking his territory. She just stood there with this frozen smile that didn't reach her eyes. Then she excused herself to go to the bathroom, and Zeb leaned in close to me. Listen, bro, I appreciate you chipping in a bit for the wedding. Shows character after all the family drama. Don't worry, though. I've got the bulk of it handled. That was it. That was the moment when something inside me just snapped. You know that feeling when you realize you've been playing a rigged game? That's where I was. Done being the family punchline. I smiled at him. Not a friendly smile, but he was too self-absorbed to notice. No problem, bro. Happy to chip in. Then I walked out of the rehearsal dinner early. Drove home fuming. Joe took one look at my face when I got home and knew something was very wrong. What happened? She asked, sitting next to me on the couch. I can't do this, I said finally, my voice hardening. I'm not just going to smile and hand over 23,000 to people who don't even think I deserve to be at the wedding. Joe squeezed my arm. Then don't take their crap anymore. I've watched you rebuild your entire life from nothing while these people treated you like garbage. You've got everything now to call them out on their entitled bullshit right to their faces. She wasn't suggesting I back down. She was encouraging me to go nuclear. That's why I loved her. She didn't see me as the family disappointment. She saw me as someone who deserved respect. You know what? You're right, I said, standing up straighter. I've been playing nice, thinking they might actually appreciate what I've done. But they're still the same toxic people they've always been. Joe nodded, a slight smile on her face. So hit them where it hurts. Show them exactly what happens when they treat you like an ATM instead of family. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what Joe said, about all the contracts in my name, about how completely within my rights I was to pull the plug on the whole thing. I thought about Ren's weird desperation, about Zeb's condescending attitude, about my parents' ongoing campaign to paint me as a failure. I could pull the plug, take back every cent, but this time I'm not just disappearing. They think I'm still a pushover? I'm going to look them in the eyes when their perfect little wedding crumbles. The old Axe would have slunk away. The new one hits back and I had to. By morning, I had a plan. The day of the wedding arrived, and I got dressed in my best suit. Joe wore this simple but gorgeous blue dress that made her look like $1,000,000. She knew the situation was tense, but she stood by me anyway. Are you sure about this? She asked as we got in the car. Never been more sure of anything in my life, I replied. Time to see if my family enjoys surprises as much as I do. We arrived at the venue early. Like, first ones there early. A few relatives were already hanging around, and the looks on their faces when they saw me walk in were priceless. Didn't think you'd actually come, one of my cousins whispered as I walked past. Brave move, considering. I just nodded and kept walking. The venue looked amazing. It should, considering what I paid for it. Flowers everywhere, fancy chairs, the works. All under my name. Aunt Pam cornered me by the entrance. So nice of you to show your face. Your sister was just saying how generous Zeb has been with everything. You could learn a thing or two from him about responsibility. I smiled. Oh, I'm learning so much today, Aunt Pam. It's really educational. Joe squeezed my hand. A silent reminder to stay calm. We found seats in the back row, far from where the immediate family would be sitting. I wanted to observe everything before making my move. The place started filling up. Zeb's side of the family was smaller but loud. Lots of artsy types with colorful hair and vintage clothes. They all seemed to be under the impression that their precious Zeb had funded this extravaganza. I overheard his mother bragging about how her son had spared no expense for his bride. Then my parents spotted us from across the room. My mom's face went white, then red. She practically sprinted over, positioning herself between me and the rest of the venue like some kind of human barricade. Axe! We didn't think you'd come, she hissed. Wouldn't miss it for the world, I replied pleasantly. Beautiful venue, isn't it? I especially like the centerpieces. The florist did a great job with my suggestions. My mother's eyes darted nervously to Joe, then back to me. We can't let you be a distraction today. I smiled. Not a happy smile. The kind that doesn't reach your eyes. Why? I paid for today. I said it loud enough for everyone to hear. Get out, she said. You have nothing to be proud of. In that moment, something cold and clear washed over me. I turned to the venue coordinator who was hovering nearby, pulled out my phone, and showed her the contracts. I need to cancel everything. I'm revoking payment authorization. Now. The coordinator's eyes went wide. Sir, check the contract. Page 3, Section 2. I reserved the right to cancel at any time. The venue is in my name, not theirs. I want everything to end right now. The next few minutes were chaos in slow motion. The coordinator made some calls. The DJ cut the music mid-song. The staff stopped serving drinks. The lights dimmed slightly as they switched to backup power settings. Guests looked around, confused. Whispers started spreading. My father rushed over, grabbing my arm. What the hell do you think you're doing? He spat. I calmly removed his hand and walked to the center of the room. I didn't shout. Didn't need to. The silence was so complete you could hear the air conditioning hum. For those wondering what's happening, I paid for this wedding. Every cent. The venue, the food, the dress, everything. And since I've been told I have nothing to be proud of and that I'm not welcome as a member of the family, I decided to take my nothing back. My mother was frantically trying to get the venue staff to ignore me, but they kept pointing at the contracts. My father looked like he might have a stroke. Uncle Stu was turning purple in the corner. You ungrateful little shit, he started, but his wife pulled him back. Zeb pushed through the crowd, looking confused and angry. What the duck, dude? Is this some kind of joke? I turned to face him directly. You tell me, Zeb. You're the one who's been telling everyone you paid for this wedding while you didn't put a cent for it. His face went blank for a second. Then he looked at Ren, who had appeared at the back of the room in her wedding dress. What is he talking about? Ren just stood there, frozen. Show him the contracts, I said to the venue coordinator. Show him who's been paying for his big day. The coordinator reluctantly handed Zeb a folder. He flipped through it, his face getting redder with each page. This is bullshit, he muttered. Complete bullshit. Ask your future mother-in-law why she's been telling everyone you paid for everything, I suggested. Ask your fiancé why she let you believe that. Then I turned to Ren, who was standing there looking like she might either faint or bolt for the door. By the way, you might want to ask Ren who the father is. It's not you. The room went dead silent. Zeb looked at Ren, who had gone pale. She didn't deny it, didn't say a word, just stood there with her hand over her mouth. What the? Zeb whispered, but in the silence, everyone heard it. Ren? She still didn't speak, but her eyes said everything. Guilt, fear, shame. It was all there. Who? Zeb demanded, his voice cracking. Who is it? I was also surprised, to be honest, lol. I hadn't actually known for sure until that moment. It had been a calculated guess based on Ren's weird behavior, the rushed wedding timeline, and her desperate need for everything to happen right away. Joe had pointed out some suspicious signals too, things only another woman would notice in Ren's behavior. But seeing Ren's reaction in that moment confirmed everything. The look on her face when I mentioned Dax said it all. I'd hit the bullseye without even being sure I was aiming at the right target. A guy near the back of the room, one of Zeb's friends, I think, suddenly looked very interested in his shoes. Zeb followed my gaze, and his eyes landed on the guy. Recognition dawned on his face. Dax, are you kidding me? My best friend? The guy, Dax apparently, started backing toward the exit. Bro, I can explain! Zeb lunged for him, but several people held him back. He was yelling now, demanding answers from Ren, from Dax, from anyone who would listen. How long? How effing long has this been going on? Ren finally spoke, her voice barely audible. It was just one time. I was drunk. It was a mistake. One time? One time? Zeb broke free from the people holding him back and stormed over to her. And the baby? Is it his? Her silence was damning. Zeb stormed out. Several of his family members followed. The remaining guests started whispering, then talking, then yelling. Some were demanding refunds for their travel expenses. Others were just standing there, stunned, watching the drama unfold like it was a reality TV show. My parents were huddled with Ren, my mother crying dramatically, my father looking like he wanted to murder me. Ren just looked broken, like everything she'd been trying to hold together had finally fallen apart. I stood there thinking, 2 years of blessed freedom from their toxic drama, and here I was, getting sucked back into the family highlight reel of let's all shit on Axe. Well, surprise ending this time. The doormat grew teeth. I'd spent too long living my life without their daily dose of judgment and manipulation. Life was actually pretty sweet without someone reminding me what a disappointment I was every 15 minutes. They wanted the old Axe back? Too bad. That version got deleted when I upgraded my spine to the premium package. This new model comes with a special feature. It hits back when punched. Cousin Ty approached me, the one that my mom kept comparing me to, suddenly all buddy-buddy. Hey man, I never believed what they were saying about you. You know that, right? Weird, because you were the one who called me a delusional tech bro at Christmas 2 years ago. But sure, Ty, whatever helps you sleep at night. He had the decency to look embarrassed. Look, that was a long time ago. People change. Perspectives change. Yeah, especially when they find out who's got money, I replied. Aunt May tried next. Axe, honey, I know tensions are high right now, but surely there's a way to salvage this? For Ren's sake? You mean the Ren who lied to her fiancé about who got her pregnant? That Ren? I asked. Or do you mean for the family's sake? The family that told me I wasn't welcome at the wedding I paid for? In the middle of the chaos, Joe and I just walked out. No shouting, no drama from our end. Just a calm exit while everything burned down behind us. Later that night, my phone blew up with texts. The most interesting was from my cousin Mia. Dude, you were right. Dax just posted screenshots of their convos from 3 months ago. The baby's 100% not Zeb's. I wasn't even surprised at this point. Just tired. Tired of the drama. Tired of the lies. Tired of being the bad guy for simply standing up for myself. Ren never contacted me again after that day. Not a text, not a call, nothing. I heard through the family grapevine that she moved in with a friend and was still pregnant, still single, still a mess. My parents tried calling a few times to talk things out, but I didn't answer. Instead, I had my lawyer send them an invoice for all the cancellation fees and deposits I couldn't get back. They never paid it, of course, but that wasn't the point. The point was I finally stood up for myself. I stopped being the disappointing son they could mock until they needed cash. The brother who was supposed to be a man while they treated me like dirt. Uncle Gil sent me this long, rambling email about family loyalty and how I'd destroyed Ren's one chance at happiness. I deleted it without responding. Aunt Pam tried the guilt angle. Your sister is devastated. I hope you're proud of yourself. Delete. Cousin V was actually the only one who seemed to get it. She texted me a week later. That was some hardcore shit you pulled, but honestly, they had it coming. No one should treat family the way they treated you. Both sides messed up, but at least you owned your part. I appreciated her honesty, if nothing else. The real cherry on top? 2 weeks later, Zeb, the same guy who supposedly paid for the whole wedding, texted me asking for a job at my company. Hey man, no hard feelings about everything. Your sister and I are trying to work things out. But I was thinking, since you've got that successful business now, Maybe you could use someone with my creative skills? I'm really good with logos and stuff. I laughed my ass off. I screenshot it and sent it to everyone in my family with just one line. Guess the real provider needs a real job after all. That finally shut them up, for a while at least. It's been, I don't know how many months since then, Joe and I got engaged. Small ceremony, just close friends. No family drama, no bullshit. Just us and the people who actually supported us through everything. My business continued to grow. We expanded to a bigger office, hired more developers, took on bigger clients. Success was the best revenge, as they say. Then one day, out of the blue, Ren showed up at my office. She was very pregnant by then, probably 8 months along. She looked tired, older somehow, like the past half year had aged her 5 years. "Can we talk?" she asked. I hesitated, then nodded. I sent everyone else home early and we sat in the conference room. "I'm sorry," she said simply. "For everything. For not standing up for you when everyone was being horrible. For letting mom and dad use you for money. For lying about Zeb paying for the wedding." I didn't say anything, just waited. "I'm having a girl," she continued, placing a hand on her belly. "Due in 3 weeks. Dax isn't in the picture. He never wanted to be." "And Zeb?" I asked. She shook her head. "That's over. It was over before, well, before everything blew up. I should have ended it properly instead of going along with the wedding. I was just scared." "Of what?" "Of ending up alone. Of disappointing everyone." She looked down at her hands. "Of being the family failure. I guess that's one title I took from you." It wasn't funny, but I laughed anyway. A short, sharp sound. "Congratulations." We sat in silence for a while. Finally, I asked the question that had been bugging me. "Why did you go along with it? With the lie about Zeb paying? With uninviting me from the wedding?" She wiped away a tear. "Because I was weak. I've always been weak. I go along with whatever mom and dad want because it's easier than fighting them. You were always the strong one, Axe. Even when you failed, you did it on your own terms." I didn't know what to say to that. Part of me wanted to forgive her, but another part wasn't ready. "I'm not asking for money," she said quickly, as if reading my thoughts. "I've got a job. It's not much, but it's something. I wanted you to know I'm sorry. And I wanted to see if maybe someday we could be family again. Real family. Not whatever twisted thing our parents think family is." I told her I needed time to think about it. She nodded, left her new number, and walked out. Joe and I talked about it that night. She didn't tell me what to do, just listened and asked questions that helped me sort through my own thoughts. I didn't call Ren right away. Took me about a month to decide what I wanted. By then, she'd had the baby, a little girl named Lily. I sent a small gift but kept my distance. As for my parents and the rest of the family, they eventually realized I wasn't going to be their punching bag anymore. Some relationships are meant to stay broken. So was I a dick for what I did? Maybe. But after years of disrespect, after funding their entire wedding only to be told I shouldn't even attend, after finding out my sister was lying to everyone including her fiancé, I don't regret a thing. At some point, you gotta draw the line. Family or not, respect is a two-way street. And sometimes the only way to teach that lesson is to hit them where it hurts. But hey, at least now I've got a great story to tell at parties. Nothing says icebreaker like, "So one time I canceled my sister's wedding mid-ceremony." LOL.